Yo, yo, it's a good day. Happy Friday? Saturday. Happy Saturday. Look. I am excited because I know why you're here. I know why you're here. You love me. But more than you love me, I know you're trying to be successful here in this world. And you know what I'm going to tell you? I'm going to tell you that you can't be. The only thing that's stopping you from being successful in this world is the fact that your brain ain't right. Your brain ain't right. But I'm gonna get your mind right. I'm gonna get your mind right today. I'm gonna get your mind right tomorrow. I'm gonna get your mind right next week. I'm gonna get your mind right next month. But it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Today we got a lot to get into, a lot to talk about, and a lot of questions that I want to be able to ask you. But the thing is that I've learned across my time of climbing to success has probably been, what would I say? It's been rewiring my brain to where I control my brain. Nobody's going to control my brain but me. Nobody's going to tell me who I can become, who I will become, because it doesn't matter, right? I'm not here to live and to breathe what anybody else wants. And the unfortunate part of that is we grow up and that's what we used to. We used to, growing up, parents say, hey, go do this, go be a doctor, go be a lawyer. What does that do for you? If that's not going to be where you successful at, you know, how are you going to be able to get the chance to do that? And is that what really true success is? What's up, Max? You want to play? Is that what success is? Grow up, do exactly what your parents want you to do. It is some people. Or grow up, continue doing exactly what the same people in the rest of your community's been doing all your life, and none of them, not one of them, want to get better. Yeah, I don't know. What I do know is I'm defining my own success. And I'm going to teach you how to define your own success too. So today, we're going to talk about a book that I got the chance to read. And that book changed my life. And I'm excited to get the chance to start this journey of this YouTube channel, this podcast, but mostly this development and this mentorship with you back to me. Because I'm going to get this chance to share some of my brain with you. Yeah, no, not everybody, this isn't for everybody. But you know what this is for? Somebody who's willing to take that extra mile to go all the way for themselves, to change their family, to change their lives forever. Forever. And I think the most exciting thing about it is, let me take this off. I think the most exciting thing about this journey with you guys is just the fact that I get to watch and see how you guys develop. I get to communicate and attract people who are like-minded, you know? That's the kind of community that we always want to be in. That's the kind of community. I mean, what's the purpose in staying in the same community where everybody in the world are all just the same person? They're just carbon copies. Carbon copies of you, carbon copies of the same people around you, never growing, never getting bigger, never doing any of that cool stuff. You know, building a great network of people who challenge you, of people who love you, but also people who love you so dearly and want to play with you all the time. Hi, Max. Right? That is what's going to allow you to become successful. You define, Max, my microphone is right here. You define your own success. You do. You define the people that you work around, people that you hang out with, that are successful. And I'm going to tell you right now, one thing I've learned from one of my great mentors is you are the average of the 5 people that you hang out with. Average of the 5 people that you hang out with. So I want you to take a mental inventory right now, and write down. I want you to actually legitimately write down the 5 closest people to you. Don't worry, I'll wait. But I want you to write down the 5 people who are closest to you. I mean, I'm talking close. I want you to write down what their characteristics are. they look like, or the kind of places they go to. Who is it that they like to talk to on a daily basis? Where do they go whenever they're having troubles? What kind of leadership and mentorship are they getting? You know, are they somebody that's outside of your normal day-to-day life, or are they somebody that you hang out with all the time? I want you to write those down and figure out who those 5 people are. You figured out who those 5 people are, that's who you are. That's your average. And so if you want to become successful, you need to figure out a way to define your own success first. And then once you define success, find those characteristics of all those people that do exactly what those things are. If success to you means going out and having people, want to come up and talk to you just to meet you because you have this aura, you have this charm about you, and that's what your success is. And that way, now you need to find the other 5 people to be closest to you that have that same success trait, that same success mind, that same success blueprint of yours. You need to figure out what that blueprint is. You figure out what that blueprint is, you're going to be successful. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If being successful to you means that you're a lawyer, and you're a successful lawyer, and you're knocking out different types of whatever it is that lawyers do. I'm not a lawyer. Whatever, you're doing all the stuff that lawyers do, right? You got your little briefcase or whatever case. If that's what it looks like for you to be successful, cool. You got to figure it out first, and then find those people. Find those people. If you being successful means that you're somebody who thinks outside of the box on a regular basis, like you hear something in a crowd of 1,000 people, you think completely different than everybody else, and then you stand up and you present what you just thought, and everybody is mind blown. If that's what successful means to you, guess what? You need to come find other people to hang out with who think just like that. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if that's what you think success is, you're in the right place. You're in the right place. But now, guess what? You got me to hang out with. Love to get the chance to hang out with other people. Make my network, my closest 5 people, other individuals who are going to challenge me and work me, make me think, bring me questions that make me feel like Jesus Christ. There are so many more things out there that I need to learn. I need to know because I'm not the greatest, and I don't know everything. I'm far from it. Am I climbing to the top? Yes, but as I'm climbing to the top, so are other people. Let me find them as well, and I have to latch onto them or pull them up with me. I'm gonna latch onto them, pull them up with me. The thing is, a lot of you trying to be the top of everything, of everybody. You're trying to be the top of everybody. And if you're at the top, you're the average. You're the average of the 5 people closest to you. That means you got somebody all the way to the right, somebody all the way to the left. And then everything in between, you're right in the middle. So if you're going to be successful, you cannot be trying to just lead the way. You got to have somebody else that you're following. You got to find somebody else that you're mentoring. And it's a matter of changing your mindset, changing the blueprint that's layered deeply into your thoughts since you were a baby, since you were a child, right? Like you have to change that. So how do you even figure out what your blueprint is? We're going to talk about that. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to getting a chance to like bend and twist some of your minds, be able to share some information with y'all today. But most importantly, if you're looking for those few people to be closest to, you're in the right place, especially if you're trying to figure out, how do I become successful in my business? How do I stand out in growing my organization? How do I be able to build a team that is inspired and motivated by me and by the example that I set? I got you. This isn't just for individuals who are looking for that self-help. I'm not going to be your self-help. I'm not. Nah. This is going to be a community where we get the chance to grow with each other. I'm not one of those people who live to just motivate and encourage people like, you can do it, you can do it. Yeah, I do that too, because you can. But what are you going to do? What is it that you can do? Let's figure that out. So I'm excited for you to be able to build yourself, develop yourself, build on your business, build on your habits every single day. But most importantly, what we're going to get the chance to do for the next 2 months is figure out a way to change that blueprint that's in your head of what success is and what actually makes you successful. But I'm gonna tell you right now, it does not start from you having a poor mindset. That is not gonna get you nowhere. You have to feel like the wealthy. You have to think like the rich. You have to dissociate what you know of this crazy world out there that you grew up in, the people that you decide to be around. You gotta change that, because your poor thinking is not gonna get you anywhere. You cannot be poor and successful. It's just not gonna happen. There's nothing noble about being poor. Nobility is getting that money, getting that bread, becoming successful. That way you can take care of your family, the generations after you, and other people in the community near you. That's what ultimately being wealthy and being successful means. But you're not going to get there if you're poor and you got this poor thinking. That poor thinking is going to keep you trapped exactly where you are. And I'm not saying that you might not have money. You might have money. That's not what means that you're not poor. It's not it. So I'm going to teach you and talk to you and give you some ways to kind of think, to change up everything that you've been thinking, dealing with in your life that have been holding you back from finding that wealthy mindset, from changing that blueprint. T. Harv Eker, I think that's how I pronounce his name, wrote this amazing book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. It's a book that you guys should read, especially while we get the chance to build and develop on each other here. Great book. We're going to get the chance to talk about some of the wealth pieces in there, some of those wealth files, how to change up your blueprint. But today, we got a whole lot to cover. So I want to get right into it.
Hey, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hate plotting my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line. Turn your heart rate to a dotted line. Yeah, my zodiac probably dollar sign. Got the energy to win it, my nigga, I'm feeling great. Got a date with destiny, focusing on my fate. I don't give a fuck what you rapping, you been a fake. I'm everything that they ain't, it can't be, it won't be. Wanna see me fall, I can't go, I won't leave. Coming from the block with plain clothes and police. Straight up to the top with bankrolls and rolling.
All right. Whoa, that was fun. That was fun. It's been a while since I've done a podcast. I'm gonna be real. It's been a while since I've done a podcast. I mean, the last podcast that I did, I don't know if some of you guys were. I know a lot of you guys actually were here when I used to do my other podcast about mental health. But I am definitely looking forward to getting a chance to talk today about all these different things. And one thing I learned while podcasting and even live stream podcasting about myself is just that you're never going to have everything right. It's just never going to happen, right? That's the nature of enjoying and loving live streaming, right? Like there's so many other things out there that can actually happen. That ultimately could drive you freaking crazy. But I love doing this because I love to get the chance to chat and build up on you guys. But we got a lot of stuff to get to talk about today that I'm excited for. We don't have as much time as I would like to. But just to kind of give a little breakdown of what we're going to go over today. So, one of the best parts about live streaming is just that, or podcasting, is that you can have a whole topic, a whole layout, a whole outline, and you want to know something that's crazy? What you almost never stay on topic. It's just like almost never happens. But I'm pretty excited. Today I've got the overall topic of changing. Stop thinking poor. Like that poor thinking is going to keep you in the dirt. It is. And so we're going to get the chance to talk about our main topic today, which is figuring out what your money or your success blueprint is. Especially for those of you out there who are trying to build a business, who are trying to figure out how to take, something that is so small in your mind, but that has so much potential, unlocking that potential and making it bigger, because your money blueprint, your success blueprint that's rooted into you is going to be ultimately the thing that allows that little seed that's in that little nut to actually, seeds in a nut? Pumpkin? I don't know, whatever the little thing that's inside nutshells to sprout. And then we also got 3 tips of the week for things for anyone who's trying to build themselves and build on themselves and build on to their businesses and platforms and things. I've got some really good tips, 3 really great tips for you to practice this upcoming week from Saturday to Saturday. I think it's Saturday. Hopefully it's Saturday everywhere. I mean, I think in America that's where mostly my viewers will be at. But then also I got a little case study. Now I'll give a little background about who I am and what I do here shortly. But I've got a case study because I want to get the chance to talk a little bit about what you would do in certain situations from different aspects of the industry, of the business industry. Right. Then there's also I would love the chance to have a little Q&A, or if not a Q&A, at some point typically I'll be able to take a lot of different questions that I'm asked throughout the week and be able to actually answer them on stream on the podcast for you guys. And so from there I have what I also consider the development question of the day. Now this is something that I feel like I had to go and learn to be able to develop my mindset, right? And it's crazy because a lot of this kind of stuff can be like really tangible, and you just never think about how it actually affects you. So I have something really great in mind for how to utilize smart risks to help you get to at least a middle class level. That's going to be some good stuff. And then after that, we're going to talk about a couple of different people that I know that I'm building in my network with. And then to finish off, we will finish off with that main topic. But man, I'm pumped up. I'm fired up. Just to talk a little bit about myself. So, you know, grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. Cool, cool place. It's a cool place if you like black holes. And I'm not gonna bash St. Louis too much because that's my home place. I know there's a lot of friends and family that still live there. They love it there. You know, I ended up traveling around the country, doing a lot of different things, having some time in the military, doing a bunch of different stuff. And you know, the thing is, my my mindset on like what was possible was so small because I had only ever really been in St. Louis. Yeah, I traveled a few other places, but like, have you ever noticed that when you go and you start working at a company and it's like in this company or this little job, like the only people there are people who have been there all their lives. They never worked anywhere else. Like they don't know anything else about anywhere else. It's crazy. Like imagine like going to work at a McDonald's, and I'm gonna use McDonald's a lot. Imagine going to work at a McDonald's, right? And the cashier, the store manager, the fry cook. Like imagine they had only ever worked at McDonald's. Like they have no other outside industry skills or experience but McDonald's. Like imagine when they come home and they try and cook a burger. I mean, I'm just now I might just be a little bit crazy, but like if they try and cook a burger at home, I'm going to assume that they're going to cook it the same way as they did at McDonald's, right? That's the only way that they know how to cook, right? And so it's the same thing growing up in St. Louis. It's like you grew up somewhere where everybody is the same. They've never gone anywhere else. They all cooking the burgers the exact same way, which is cool. That's not what I necessarily wanted, but I didn't know any better, you know. And so because of that, once I finally got to go out into the rest of the world, my mind was opened up, and like I'm being honest, like there was a lot of vulnerability with so many different. My audio is iffy. Is it? Thanks. What? Also, how did I get that? Well, we shall see. Hold on. If my audio is still really bad, I mean, actually, let me listen to my audio. Un momento. Un momento. See, podcast day one is always a fun day trying to figure life out. All right. Testing, 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 testing. It is a little bit. It is a little bit weird. It is a little bit weird. I hear it. I don't like it. Look at you. Testing. Hello. 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 It feels a little bit better. I don't know. Let's figure out. Let me figure out a different microphone.
All right. What about this microphone? What about this microphone? Yeah, you can hear all that background audio. Okay, let me see. Here we go. We're gonna get it good. We're gonna get it good. All right, what about that? Woo, let's go. All right, that sounds much better. Also, Charming, how are you here? I think that's my marketing manager. All right, cool. There we go. Anyway, so yeah, so like I was saying, like everybody's a carbon copy, and I didn't want to live that life. And so whenever I got out into the rest of the world, it sucked because like I was like, dang, there's so much more that I could have actually like done like in my life, like growing up. Like I think the crazy thing is that as a kid, I didn't know any of the things that was going on. Shout out to my mom because my mom is an amazing woman. I mean, she dealt with so much while we were growing up. I'm the oldest. Growing up, there was five of us, but now I got a bigger brother he's a sixth one. But like, and my mom had him when I was a senior in high school. I'm gonna say to all the moms out there, take a note from my lessons. Take a lesson from me. After the first one, stop. After the first one, stop. You don't need to have any more. It's okay. That first one is going to be beautiful, and that first one's going to do everything to change the family's last name. And if you're not a first, hey, at least you are still here. But what I will say is, growing up, my mom was amazing at never making us feel like we were less than anybody. Like, not that she would make us feel like that, but like, you know how the environment that you're in can always just make you feel less than everybody, right? Like the people that you're around, if everybody around you is always talking above your head, like you feel less than everybody. If people around you are always talking about this, having this and this and that, like you always feel less than everybody. And so it's not to put you in the same room as people who are talking about anything. She didn't do that to make us feel better, but she did everything she could to just put us up here so that way we understand and we're around those kind of people, so at least we continue to like have a like, oh, my mom was great, and I took it for granted. And the crazy thing is, I think, and probably a lot of other parents could probably agree with me too, when you get older and you start to have your own children, I'm sure I don't have any children of my own, but I got my dogs, right? When you start to have children of your own, your blueprint changes of how, of how you see the world, of how you see parenting, how you see treating your children, right? And I think that my blueprint has changed just from taking care of other people and from leading other people and knowing like how much things suck for a lot of people, right? And you don't necessarily want to move them from their current situation into a situation with other people who aren't going anywhere. My mom was really great at putting us into situations with people who were at least trying to get somewhere. At least in St. Louis, there wasn't as much as I found whenever I left St. Louis, but my mom did a really great job of doing that while we grew up, which I thank her for so much, because there's a lot of things that I learned, a lot of things that I did that I would not be here today doing what I am doing and helping out other families and helping out leaders and stuff. Like I wouldn't be doing those kinds of things without it. But man, it did suck. I had a huge culture shock whenever I started traveling. California, completely different. Arizona, even though it's right next to each other, completely different. Virginia, completely different. The people, the places, the food, the cultures, the mindset, everything completely different. I found out that like, and a lot of times there's a lot of us Black people who end up like congregating in cities together, right? There's a lot of cities where there's a large amount of us, and it seems like my city, hashtag St. Louis, that congregation was all the same, right? And so meeting and going around to other places, I learned so much about other Black cultures. That was so cool. That like I felt like, Jesus, why didn't I learn this kind of culture in like while I was growing up? And so just kind of getting a chance to grow and go other places, meet different types of people was huge for me, especially whenever I was in the military, because not only can I learn the cultures of the area that I'm like stationed in, but also like having people from all over, from everywhere as well there with me. That was something that was amazing. I loved it. But one thing that I did enjoy most of all was developing other people to start to have more perspective, so that way they can build up on themselves and grow. It was something that I love to do, and so much so that like I went to go be a drill instructor. All right, some of you guys that have been with me for a while know that my time as a drill instructor was wild. But what I will also say is that I did learn a lot about myself, and I completely rewired my value. Right? I think that's another thing that a lot of people miss. It's like you need to rewire your value sometimes. Because a lot of y'all place y'all's value like your valuation, like what is like imagine you have a net worth, right? Imagine you have a net worth, and you decide, well, my net worth is based on cars and clothes and all this BS, right? What happens when you lose all that? You have zero net worth, and now you have zero value, right? A lot of y'all need to start changing up your value and your net worth and your brain on what is actually attached to your net worth. Otherwise, you're never going to be successful, right? And so for me, I somehow rewired my value towards developing other people. So much so that whenever I'm not able to develop other people, I feel no value. Right? That's why I'm here doing what I'm doing today. That's why I'm here. That's why over my life, I've really been able to dedicate spending time with people, like building them up. Not everybody wants to be built up. Not everybody wants to be rewired in their brain. And it's crazy too, because like even in relationships, this is something I want. I was going to touch on this topic a little bit later, but I'm gonna hit it now. Even in relationships, people don't want to rewire anything. Why do you want to change me? Why do I need to act like this or be like this? I want to go to college. But wait, I'd rather just stay working here. I don't need to get that promotion. You want me to build up a new hobby? What? Why can't I just do this? You mean to tell me that you're going to be the same person for the rest of our lives in this relationship? No, I need to, there needs to be some sort of development and some sort of rewiring. Or else that relationship's not going to be successful, right? You're not going to be successful as a person. You're not going to grow. That's that poor thinking, honestly. That's that poor thinking of, I'm good right where I am. No, you're not. You're comfortable right where you are. But right where you are, put you in the same exact place as you are. And I'm going to tell you, even if you are rich and successful, even if you are rich and successful and you're thinking, I'm good right where I am, you're wrong and you're poor. You're wrong and you're poor. You're going to be poor. It's going to be a poor relationship. It's going to be a poor friendship. You're going to have poor communication with everybody. Everything's going to be poor. I was going to talk about that a little bit later, but I felt it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I felt it. Like, I felt it in my bones to start talking about that. But for real, nobody wants to rewire anything. Everybody wants their value to be listed so that way other people can see their value. No. What good does that do you? Right? But going back, man, it was crazy that I actually rewired my value to developing other people, because I think that that's an amazing thing, right? And again, we define our own success. I think that's an amazing thing. It does suck though when you don't have that medium to be able to build and develop other people though, and so I love the fact that, I started my own mental health podcast. That was amazing. I loved being able to share my story, share other people's stories, right? That was, I know that my story a lot of times can save people's lives. What I've been able to do the last few years, I know that because I'm so dedicated to to developing and helping and leading and building onto others, and knowing that I can still get more of that poured into me, like I know that that's going to save somebody's business. I know it's going to save somebody's relationships. It's going to save somebody's family. Right? Like I want to make a change in this world so that way people actually come out on top. A lot of people like me. You know, another great thing I heard from some of the leaders and that I'm in business with, specifically Ed Milet. Oh man, I love Ed Milet. He says, we are most qualified to help those we once were. We are most qualified to help those we once were. Oh. Take a second, and I want you to write down everything you once were. Everything, every person, every position, every opportunity that you once missed, everything that you once were, write that down. I'll tell you some of what I was while you're writing that down. I was somebody who was great at showing face, at being amazing, but deep down I was extremely alone. That was one thing, right? How am I most qualified to help them out? Because I was once them. What am I doing for that? Providing community. Providing community so that way, you might actually be alone on the inside. You can show face as much as you want to, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it real, provide that community so that way you can go somewhere to actually be vulnerable and let it out. Because like there's a lot of energy that you can harness. There's a lot of goodness that you can harness by being able to show face. Man, go be an actor or an actress. Go show face there. But when you're by yourself, it doesn't do you any justice. Right? How do I touch somebody who's by themselves? No, we're not going to go there. Right? But yeah, honestly, like how can I impact someone's life who's alone whenever they're by themselves, right? Because that's when that show face comes off. That used to be me. How do I help that person? I need to be real. You know what else used to be me? Oh man, tasting that next relationship used to be me. Because probably once again because of the aloneness or loneliness thing too. But tasting that next relationship used to be me. How am I doing that? How am I helping somebody else? How can I help somebody else? Give them partnership and friendship. Like actual partnership and friendship. That's what they're looking for, a partner. And I want to talk about the difference between support and being a partner. I'm going to talk about it later on in the season of the podcast, or a different day. But support, a lot of your support system comes from like your friends and your family that you grew up with. And a lot of times we mistake looking for our partner as somebody to support us, and we just want strict support. And that's okay if that's you. But those of us who are looking for the next relationship, is not because we don't have support, because we don't have a partner. It's because we don't actually have somebody to work with and build with. And that's what we're looking for, but we're mistaking it for looking for support and friends. All right, support is somebody who's going to hold you up, right? Somebody's going to hold you up. You can kind of think of support as, let's say you're like running for a candidacy, right? The entire campaign is supported by all these people who believe in you, by all these people who are raising money for your campaign, right? That's support, right? Partner is picking your running mate. That's like picking your vice president, right? Or your first lady, your first man. If someday we're gonna have a first man president, right? But like, that's a partner. And a lot of times we mistake looking for somebody who's gonna just pour into us and tell us, hey, you got this, you got this. But one thing I've learned is somebody who's looking for that next relationship is looking for that partner. Find a partner. So I want to provide not just the community piece, but partnerships with people. So where they have somebody else that they can run with, right? Another thing I used to be was afraid of risk. Ooh. Another thing I used to be was afraid of risk. Ooh. And because I've taken a risk at betting on myself, and this is something we're going to get into, but because I've taken a risk at betting on myself and actually winning doing it, I'm so much better now. I'm not to say that I'm any better than somebody else who doesn't, or any better than somebody else who still feels alone, or any better than somebody else who, is looking for a relationship all the time. It's just that I'm just qualified to help them, right? And you are too. You are too. Right? I'm not sure what kind of business that you're running, what kind of opportunities that present themselves to you. But just understand, when you're running that business and you're here to help somebody else, you're qualified to help that person. A lot of us, we don't feel that self-worth and that self-value because, oh, I'm not this, or I'm not that, or I used to be this, or I used to be that. Yeah, exactly. And so I love the fact that I have rewired my blueprint to develop other people because I used to be them once. And if I never was them, hey, I'm not as qualified to help them out. But hopefully I got some things that I can say that's going to help build them anyway. Right. But I want to go ahead and get into my 3 tips for the week. Something that like you guys need to actually like use to take away for your week as you step into this new week, right? Ponder on it tomorrow. Ponder on it. Think about what in your week you're going to do to be able to practice these 3 things or these 3 tips. Right now, a lot of you guys should have business mentors or leadership mentors, something like that, of somebody that you can particularly go to. And if you don't, we're also going to talk about that part too, right? But if you do, have them start to figure out a way to hold you accountable to some of these little tips to try throughout the week. All right, just come up with some of the ways that you can achieve some sort of daily habit that fits into these. That whether it's something that you need to achieve in the future or something you need to do now, right? But first thing I got for you. So a lot of people nowadays don't understand this concept. And it's a pretty deep concept. Actually, I want to pull this concept up. How many of you know of the 4 ways to make money here in America? There are 4 ways to make money here in America. And a lot of people don't know about it. 4 different types of individual. I actually want to put this. I'm going to put this on my screen. I'm going to put it on the screen. And it's going to hit you. I really hope that this is not about to be big whenever I pop it up. Oh, yeah, there we go. Perfect. All right. So there's 4 ways to make money here in America. And don't worry, I'm going to get into a little bit later on which one is the best. Or which one is going to do you the best justice, right? Based on a few different things, right? But there's 4 ways to make money or to produce income here in America. But I don't want you to think of only income as income. I want you to think of this as value. There's 4 ways to be able to provide value to the world. There's 4 ways, those kinds of things, all right? Think a little bit outside the box. Come with me. So you can be an employee. Right? That means you have a job. Oh man, I love this so much. You have a job. right? Your time is money. And I know a lot of us, we don't want to be there, right? We don't want to have to work in order to make enough money. We want to make enough money so that we don't have to work, right? But unfortunately, we're so used to and programmed in our brains to actually grow up, graduate high school, go to college, get a degree, go find a really good job, make 50, 60, maybe $80,000 a year, right? Let's say that you go to and get your master's, right? You might be making about $90,000 a year. You're okay with that. $90,000 sounds like a lot of money, right? You're comfortable, right? Maybe you go and get your PhD, your MD or something like that, right? You become a doctor, whatever the case is, right? Maybe you make $100,000, maybe even $200,000, right? You're comfortable. You're living fine. You don't have anything to really worry about. Like your kids don't have to like really grow up in a poor neighborhood, right? Like you regardless of what status you are in that point, you still have a job. You have a job, right? The more time that you put in, the more money you make. You check in, you clock in. If you work 8 hours, you get paid for 8 hours of work, right? We all know that. We're all used to that. Like if somebody has never been an employee before, I'd be shocked. And I'd say, hey, teach me your ways from whenever you were growing up. I need to figure that out. There are some people who right out the gate are one of these other three, right? But what do you feel like typically happens when somebody gets fed up of having a job? One of two things happen, right? Now this depends on that success blueprint in your mind, right? If you don't have a success mindset, if you have a poor mindset, you're gonna hate it. You might try some other things, but you're always gonna return back to being an employee because of the rest of this that makes it so challenging. Now, if you have a success mindset, you got that success blueprint where you can go into your head and say, okay, well, and this is something that I love about people. Well, I hate having a job. Why don't I just go and own my own job, right, and become self-employed? Now I love these people, self-employed individuals. They're passionate, and I love it's phenomenal to see the passion that they have, right? These are going to be like your mom and pop shops. Right, maybe you have somebody who loves making like smell goods, right? They love making bath bombs, and they love all that stuff. Like they want to go and create that stuff so that way they can sell it to people, run their business and build upon their passion, their hobbies, but make money from it, right? Again, remember, it's not only about the providing the income piece, the value that they're providing, right? They produce the value. But the downside to owning a job is that when you stop, that value stops getting produced that you're helping with other people, right? Let's say that you decided to create a nonprofit organization to help out underprivileged children, right? You love what you do. You're very passionate about what you do, and that's why you're self-employed, right? Because you want to be in that field helping out those underprivileged children. But the moment you stop, the moment that value stops, and the moment your income stops, right? That's the downside, but it's fantastic, and because we need these people. There's a lot of people that are in this self-employed position, right? There's like 95% of the population, it says, are in the self-employed position, right? Now, that's not to say that you might not like have employees and things like that, because you might actually have employees, right? Imagine walking into a steakhouse, and that's run by somebody's great-grandfather. I don't know if a great-grandfather is actually being self-employed running a steakhouse, but hey, stick with me, okay? You walk in and you feel the nice, like, rustic, you smell the wood burning of like the I don't know, the grill in the back, right? And grandpa brings out that nice, fat, juicy, delicious steak that he just grilled up, nice and charred on the outside. And I don't know about you guys, but I like my steak nice and rare, charred on the outside. That's me. That's me. But like, he does that because he loves what he does. And he is willing to put in the money or the time to make that money just to be able to provide value, right? That's what he loves. That's what being self-employed is, though. And if he were to leave, his business would slow down drastically. And that's all right. But again, your time is still your money. You're still trading that time for money. Now, this is where those people who have mentors really get the chance to shine, because yes, if you have the success mindset, your success mindset is going to get you far enough to say, you know what, how about I just go and own my own job? You know, like I'll just build my own passion. I love doing this. I'm going to do this. Having that mentorship is going to allow you to take it a step further. Right. So go on a trip with me really quickly. I told you guys I'm going to talk about McDonald's a lot. I'm going to talk about McDonald's a lot today. I got a lot of stuff talking about McDonald's. Let's just say that you decide to open up a McDonald's, right? Obviously, you open up McDonald's, right? You franchise. You spend about $1.5 million to open up a McDonald's and franchise it, right? If you're opening up McDonald's, you're not going to be opening it up so that way you can just go be a fry cook. You're gonna spend, you know, over $1 million to go be a fry cook at this McDonald's, right? You open it up because you want time freedom, right? You never ever walk into a McDonald's and see the franchise owner there. If you do, it's probably because the McDonald's just opened up, right? There's some grand opening of some sort, right? Maybe they're coming down for like an inspection or something. But like that franchise owner is never there. Never. And so how is that franchise owner making money? It's because he franchised it to create a system that makes the money for him, that produces that value for him, right? So that way he cannot be there at all. The system continues to go, and he continues to produce income, right? Now I'm going to be honest, building up a system and owning a system, that takes a lot of work, right? It's going to take a lot of work on the front end. But let's just say that he did that. Spent his $1.5 million to franchise this McDonald's. The next 10 years, maybe he might profit about $150,000 a year on average. Say he does that for 10 years. After 10 years, he finally breaks even. And now he's already built up and trained a really good system, right? When you're a true business owner, the more value, the more income that you get is based on the more time and training that you put into that system, whether it's people, whether it's objects or AI nowadays, right? Whatever it is, like that's what actually is going to allow you to create that system and have much more value and impact on people's lives, right? And so with that, after those 10 years, he's profited. He's finding every dollar he's making, he makes. He's straight up value. I love that about true business owners. And then the last way to make money in America is being an investor. Now, this is just for your own investments, right? Where your money is working for you, right? You put money here, you can allow it to wait. You have to have a lot of discipline, right? A lot more discipline for these kinds of, for this way to be able to produce income and value, right? Your money is working for you, is building for you, is bringing you in more money. So that way you can then put more money in, right? A lot of people, they figure out, well, yes, I would rather be self-employed, but I'd rather own the system so that I can have time freedom. You build up once again from there. You say, well, if I pour more money into my system will create more money for me. If I pour more value into my system will create more value for me and for the people that I'm serving, right? That's the investments piece. 4 ways to provide value or to make money in America. Now, which one of these 4 are you? Are you an employee? You're working, at a hospital? I don't know why I said a hospital. Are you an employee? You work at a McDonald's? Right? Are you self-employed? Do you have a mom and pop burger shack? Are you a business owner? Are you that franchise owner that owns a system that's running for you so that way you can continue making more and more money? Or are you currently investing into systems, businesses, investments, real estate, stock market, indexing strategies? Are you currently investing into those things to make you more money later on down the line? Which one are you? Well, Charmy, which one is the best? What should I be doing? Well, that depends on your goals. I'll tell you that I never want to be an employee. That I can't do, right? I decided to leave being W-2 so that way I can stop being a boss and not have to worry about a boss. I mean, so if you like having a boss, if you love having, limited responsibilities and things like that, hey, if you're an employee, you're in the right place. Keep trading your time for money. Hopefully you find somewhere else that's going to give you more money for the time that you put it in. Right? Some people, they love what they do. And once again, if you're very passionate about something, self-employed is the way. Right? Let's just say that you're an artist. Right? And you are creating your own art. You're self-employed and you sell your own art. Beautiful. You love what you do. You're passionate. If you're a passionate person about what you do, self-employed is the way to go because you own your job. And you can put more time into whatever it is that you're passionate about to provide much more value and income for yourself. But what happens when you want to retire from drawing art? Again, if you stop, your income stops. So how do you create a system so that way you have time value, and no matter what, when you stop creating art, you're still creating value and you're still bringing an income for yourself? How do you create a system? That's what we're going to talk about today. I just want to talk about for a little bit here. That's the biggest tip that I have to say for this week. Figure out ways to implement systems that do the work for you so that way you can step away, continue to make money, continue to provide value. That's a huge tip of the week, right? So for you, let's just say for me in my industry, ways that I can build a system or that I can work on owning a system or providing more value to the system that I have. In the finance industry, one huge way to be able to create a system is to where I have people who love what I do, who for themselves, they send me people. I don't have to go out and get the people. Like not even like a door-to-door salesman or like, doing a bunch of cold leads or cold calls or any of that kind of stuff. No. I'm saying like, if I could create a system, and this is for a lot of people who are in industries where they have any kind of services that they provide or any kind of sales that they do, things like that, where you are directly selling and working with and providing opportunities for people, right? Having a good word of mouth is a great system. How can you build up your word of mouth system? Right? Let's say you are a doctor starting off before you have your own independent, hospital or clinic. How can you build up a system to where your income doesn't stop even if you stop trying to find patients, even if you don't have the time to advertise and promote and market, right? How do you do that? Build up a system where the clients continue to come to you, right? Without you doing anything. Oh, I love it. It's because, like great customer service is going to allow you to do that, right? Great customer service is going to allow people to love what you did for them, especially if you're honest in what you do, especially if you're honest. It's going to allow you to build up people that say, hey, you need to talk to this person because they helped me out with my financial situation. Now I'm going to be a millionaire, by the time I retire. Hey, you need to go talk to this person because they just so happen to know a lot of really good ways to help me with my back pain, right? Figure out ways to build up a system this week. It's going to do you justice. It's going to be a lot of work. I want to tell you that because you have to develop these systems, right? You have to know every little step and know where every little hole is in your boat so that way you can plug it in and make sure you're taking care of your system. But if you build a good system, if you have if you put in that time, you build a good system over the course of time, at some point you're going to have that time freedom. All right, let's say you are an artist. How do you start to put systems into place so that way when you say I want to take a month off, right, you have things like that. I had a client who he works on he creates like one man boats, one single man boats, something like that. Or it's the canoe, right? It's the canoe, but it has enough space for like one dude in it to like row his canoe. Really nice, really nice. And he wants to be self-employed. And I said, that's great. That's great, but you're thinking here. If you were great at doing this, why not create systems so that way you can do this to start off, but you teach and train other people how to build up your little community so that way now other people are doing this for you, and you now have a franchise, and you have a system that's in place because you taught them. You help them figure out ways to expand your offerings and things like that. And now they know exactly what to do so that way when you're gone, your income is still going. You're still providing value to other people. Because I know you don't want to be building all your life. You don't want to be doing that. I know you don't want to get arthritis. What happens if you do get arthritis? And you like to draw or you like to paint. See, you get arthritis in your hands. Well, yeah, you could probably get some braces and stuff like that, but that's the weak thing. The success piece is going to come from where you decide, I need to go ahead and figure out how to build up a system and own it. Oh man, I love it. Oh, I love systems. And then always, again, if you ever want to invest back into your business, back into your systems, that's going to produce much more money for you, much more value, right? Investing into real estate, investing into insurance, investing into the stock market, investing into these other things produces income for you, right? So that's just a huge thing. So that's tip number 1 of the week. Invest back into what you've been able to build up, right? That's going to take you so much more further. Now, my second tip, and this is something that I'm huge on. Second tip of the week, again, figure out ways to take this action for this week. And I'm gonna be real. I come across a lot of business owners who are not business owners. Like, they have a business. They might even have a system, but they're not really taking ownership. Charmin, what do you mean by that? Like, they have a business, they built up a system, they have things in place. How are they not taking ownership? How do you not take ownership when you have a business? It's literally yours. You own it. It's literally yours. Taking ownership is completely different. Taking full ownership is completely different. You know, in the industry, in the business owning industry, there are a lot of people who wait for somebody else to tell them to do something. I'm gonna be real. They wait for somebody else to tell them, you need to read this book. You need to read this book. This book is going to help you with your business. This book is going to teach you everything that you need to know about this little piece of this mindset. Doesn't get you anywhere at all. Waiting for somebody else to tell you. Because even so, if you don't take that full ownership of saying, well, what is it that I need to do for my business? Because nobody else is going to run my business better than I will. They won't even coach me on my business better than I will. Like, how do you get into that mindset this week of thinking, well, you know what? What is it that I need to do? What is it that I don't know that I need to do? And what is it I need help on? Right? You figure those 3 things out. What do I need to do? What don't I know that I need to do? And what I need help on? And then you take the action to go do all those things, right? Let's just say that you are a franchise owner for the world-renowned pretzel company, Auntie Anne's. I'm throwing some shots today. Oh, I'm throwing some shots today. Okay. Let's say you franchise Auntie Anne's. You have 50, 60 Auntie Anne pretzel restaurants in the country, right? Now, let's just say that, you know, your sales across half of your stores are down as a franchise owner, right? Now, you can obviously go to your general managers of your store managers. You can go to all of those different individuals to figure out why. Why are sales down? Why is productivity down? Why is retention down? Why is profitability down? You know, they're spending so much money. You could go to them and ask them all those different things. You can. And the great thing about that too is like, if you go to those store managers and those general managers and all these other individuals, and like they can tell you exactly why their stores are down and all that stuff. I want you to understand you have some good employees because they take full ownership. But you have good employees because they take full ownership. But unfortunately, if you're having to go to them to ask that, even if you even know the answer too, that's just bad leadership. If you know the answer, you still go to them and say, hey, why are we down? Yeah, you're wrong, right? That's a bad leader. But let's talk business, right? So you go down there after looking at some numbers, and you're like, well, we're down. I'm not making enough money. Let me go ask this general manager, why is your store not making enough money? You should already know. You should know the answer before you even go to talk to somebody, right? This is where you need to actually figure out your numbers, right? Now, a lot of people, they hear P&Ls all the time, profit and loss report, all that kind of good stuff. And that's great, especially like if you have like your accounting team or your payroll or whatever the case is. That's great. They can do all that kind of stuff for you, which is good because especially as you built that system in place to where they do that, right? Which is, you're a good business owner, right? You're a good true business owner because you have a system. But if they're the ones that know everything, you don't know anything, then what are you really doing? You're not taking ownership, right? You're not knowing your business, learning your business. They're running your business better than you ever could, right? You need to be able to step in and say, hey, everybody, I want you to understand that this is my business and I can do this. So here's an example. That franchise owner of Auntie Anne's Pretzels looks at P&Ls, look at all their business numbers, look at how many people are coming in, how many new employees are coming in, how many of them getting trained, how much money you're losing on them or wasting on them or putting into them, how much you're actually investing back into them. You literally look at all this kind of stuff. And the big part that comes into play is you can look at the numbers, but actually understanding them and learning them and figuring out how to troubleshoot will do everything for you actually owning your business and really truly understanding and taking full ownership. Because you're not gonna put the responsibility on anybody else, one, but also at the same time when you're doing that, you're figuring out where your deficiency lies and where your holes are in the boat as a business owner. Like you sit down, it's not about what the system is doing wrong, it's about what you didn't do for the system. It's about what you did not invest into the system that you have in place, right? And so let's just say that, you have training is down or, retention is really down. Why? That franchise owner says, well, the reason why training is down is simply because I haven't invested enough time or money or efforts into building up a consistent and easily duplicatable training system. And I can tell that by these numbers. Right. That's taking full ownership of your business, not leaving no room for excuses, not putting responsibility on anybody else. And a lot of people, they just don't do that, right? Or let's just say people are waiting for other individuals to teach them everything that they need to know. Oh, especially in businesses where you're in business with other people, other agencies and things like that, right? Let's say you're in an agency where there's multiple different business owners that you get the chance to work with, learn with, be mentored from, mentor yourself or mentor others, right? A lot of time, people are definitely going to wait for somebody else to teach them or tell them something, which is fine to a degree, right? Because you don't want to overwhelm yourself. However, if you write down what you do know, write down what you need to know that you don't know, and then also write down what you need help with, you won't overload yourself. You have that perfect list, right? And now what you don't know, somebody else is going to be able to help you out with that, right? Because you're going to go looking for the answer, not waiting for the answer to happen to you. You go look for the answer. You're going to find along that route so much more information and knowledge instead of the answer coming straight to you. I mean, think about it like this. You're trying to drive from Virginia Beach to New York because there's some insane party up in New York. Some insane party, right? Now, let's just say that your friends are inviting you to. They're having a party up in New York. Imagine the travel the journey up to New York while you're driving up there or flying up there that you'll have, that's so much fun, or that might be really insane and crazy. But even if it's really insane and crazy, you still learn and built from it, right? You still developed. But anyway, like imagine that journey. Cool. Now you got this whole journey, and you also got the destination of that party. But let's just say your friends are like, you know what? Instead, we'll just come down to Virginia Beach to you. And so they travel from New York and they come to you. All you got was the party. You didn't get any of the rest of that journey where that might have had ups and downs for you to learn, build, grow, things like that. When somebody has to come to you to give you the information that you need, you're missing out on all the ups and downs it's going to take to get there. You're missing out on all the knowledge, experience that it's going to take to get there. And a lot of business owners, especially young business owners, especially people who work near other business owners, they don't take that ownership to go and figure out that information, to go and build on their business. They wait for somebody else to do it for them. And that's going to keep you in that poor mindset. I'm going to tell you that right now. Right? You're not going to go ever get the money. You're not going to go ever chase that bag. Right? You're never going to do that. That's actually not going to happen. And crazy part about that is you also missed out on all the fun, and you really didn't even get enough answers because you're probably waiting on the wrong person to come and give you that information, right? When you go look for the right person to bring you that information, you're going to do much better. Take ownership. That is my second tip for this week. Figure out ways for you to take ownership in your business, in your life this week. Figure out some ways based on that. My third tip, and it kind of goes along with the first tip of build a system for yourself, for your business, right? To provide value and make income, even if you step away. Build a system. Take full ownership. Even when you do have a system, you got to be the best, right? You don't need to be waiting. My third tip for you this week, stop doing things by yourself. There are so many business owners, there are so many leaders in the world that feel like, and it's just like I said in the very beginning, we are the average of the 5 people that is closest to us. We're the average of them. That means the average, somebody's below and somebody's above. Somebody's below, somebody's above. I don't know, left and right, whichever way, right? You don't have to be in business alone. You don't have to be a leader by yourself. You don't have to do things by yourself. You're not the only one that's on the journey that you're on. Find and connect with other people that are on that same journey. Yeah, let's just say, right, like if you're a McDonald's franchise owner, right? Again, McDonald's. You're a McDonald's franchise owner. Yeah, go find other McDonald's franchise owners to work with, to learn from, to be mentored by, to mentor others, to bounce ideas off each other. Yeah, you might be in competition with each other. So what? So what? Breed more competition. That's what a lot of individuals don't want to do, is breed competition because they're afraid that they might pass on more information to somebody else that end up using it better. Oh, I heard another great thing too. You can be the best. You can be the greatest because you have the knowledge. You can share the knowledge with somebody else and they can do it better. They can have more success with it, but you're still the greatest. You're still going to be the greatest at it. They could have, that's crazy, right? You're going to be the greatest at doing whatever it is that you're doing. Let's say you are the best at training your employees. You are the best at leading, I don't know, let's say military people. You're the best. You give your secrets away and other people start to succeed with it better than you. Doesn't mean that they're the greatest. You're still the greatest. It's still yours. Nobody can do it better than you. I don't even know why I have to have this on. Nobody can do it better than you. That's right. Like that's the beautiful part, is that like you create something, you make it your own. You built this system up. You built these things into place. Nobody can take it from you. But it's all right to go and find those people to be able to work with, to challenge you. Right? You're not on this journey by yourself, especially for those individuals just getting started off in business. You know, find other communities. Obviously, that's what I love about being able to do this right here, where I'm able to provide a lot of insight. I'm able to have community with you guys, right? I love that. The crazy part about it all is that, like, yeah, I podcasting episodes and things like that, videos where it's kind of almost one way. But still, you guys can definitely be able to contact me. I have a large community of other people who are like-minded, who also want to develop their futures, develop other people, build value into the world, make good income, so that way they can not only just change their lives and be comfortable. The killer of being rich is being comfortable. The killer of being successful is being comfortable, right? You don't want to be around people that are comfortable. That's not going to do any justice. But find those people. Find others who are on that path with you. Because I'm going to tell you right now, being alone is not the fun way. It's not the fun way. I've been alone in my life too much and been poor because of it, and had a poor mindset because of it. Finding those other people is what's going to do it for you. 3 tips I want you guys to take away, right? Stop being self-employed. Start building a business. If you love being self-employed because you're passionate, great. Start to build systems to help you out with building that up, so you can get much more of that time freedom. That way you can start building more value, right? Make sure you start taking full ownership of whatever it is that you are developing and putting time into, right? Whether it's your business or your career, your hobbies, take full ownership, right? And then lastly, you don't have to be alone. So I want you this week to figure out some little different things to be able to do based on what it is that we just talked about, to be able to actually implement little daily habits, so that way you're always building time, so that way you're always building and developing upon yourself. 3 good tips of the week. Whew. All right. I got another really good thing for you guys. Did you guys like that? I hope you liked it. I hope you guys liked it. Really good tip that I've learned that I wanted to be able to share with a lot of other people who are trying to develop themselves and step out of the employment world, or being the employed world of W-2, that scary world where you actually have a boss, right? I hope you guys like that. But next thing, well, before I get into the next thing, I had the chance to have a meeting with a nice lady, and she was amazing. Her name is Anna Wilds. I was a little bit confused at first when talking to her. She was a little bit confused at first when she was talking to me as well. But she was an amazing lady who has done a lot of really cool stuff. And maybe you guys have heard of it. And this is just another way to be able to show that I'm building my network of other people who are kind of like-minded like me, and kind of in the same business as me, right? Even though we don't necessarily rival each other, but we could potentially partner with each other, things like that. But what she does is she's a franchise advisor. I know we were talking a lot about franchising and building your own systems and becoming a true business owner, right? She's a franchise advisor, which is very significant because I had never heard of that before. And just to kind of explain what it is, what her position is. So yes, she's self-employed, not a true business owner. But you know what? I haven't gotten a chance to really develop her into the, just yet. But what she does is she helps franchisors, right? Companies like McDonald's or Burger King. What's another franchise? I don't know some other franchise off the top of my head. But she helps those franchisors to find individuals who are looking to be able to build systems, right? She does a great job with people who maybe lost their job, their industry or their job might have gotten phased out, or things like that. She's really great at helping them out, which is fantastic because, again, I love when people get the chance to help others out in their career. It does so well for the country. But I love it because with me believing so much in building up a system, I get to partner and work with someone who literally does just that. And so don't worry, I'm going to leave a link in the description and in the comment section as well after the bot is created. But she offered me a position to come and speak on her podcast. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll also make sure that I link that podcast after we record it here, but I'm not recording that podcast until around the first or second week of March with her. And so the really great thing about it is that I get to share, my passion for developing business owners and leaders with her network of business owners and leaders. And don't worry, I'm gonna have her over on our podcast as well because she has a wealth of knowledge about helping people to find those opportunities. So that's a hard thing. Like, yeah, you can want to build a business and have a system and all that kind of stuff. You can have that mindset. And this is remember initially when I kind of spoke about becoming a true business owner, the thing that's going to elevate you from being self-employed to being a business owner is having a network and having mentors. Having a network, having mentors is going to allow you to do that. And she's definitely going to be key. So if you are ever looking for an opportunity where you could potentially become a franchise, like get a franchise of your own, definitely she's going to be someone to talk to. And so I also love her because, what I do to be able to help provide, financial services, financial support, leadership strategies, business development, wealth management, like those things, I do all that completely free, right? And I'm very keen on making sure that my values are in place that my values are very understood and shown within whatever partnerships that I have with other people. And so because of that, she also has agreed that she will be able to, help out families or help out, individuals who want to be able to build systems and have a franchise of their own someday, right? Like I'm gonna tell you guys right now, Dairy Queen, best franchise in the world. Best franchise in the world. Dairy Queen was bought out. Let me see. When was Dairy Queen franchise? Since 1940, the chain has used a franchise system. Really? I didn't know that. That's really cool. But yeah, so Dairy Queen, best franchise. Let's see. Up and coming franchises 2024. Let's talk about that. That's what we really need to talk about. Some of the best franchises in the world right now. What? That's not. No, I don't want franchises for sale. I should be showing you guys this, but I didn't even create a scene to where like my little picture would be there. And it's fine. I will just tell you guys 15 best franchises to own. YouTube Finance. According to Forbes, franchising has particularly been highly resilient throughout 2023. It's added over 250,000 jobs in the US, which is awesome. Prominent franchises in the market, some of the best franchises to own in 2024. Are you ready for this? You ready for this? McDonald's, duh, right? 7&I Holdings Company. What's that? I know what a holdings company is, but it's an investor. Is that? No, that's 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven is a great franchise to own apparently nowadays. I think so. I think that's what 7-Eleven is. That's what it kind of looks like. I think that's the holdings company behind 7-Eleven because the logo looks like 7-Eleven. And Papa John's is also one of the top prominent franchises in the market in 2024. So if you are looking to be able to expand what you are able to do, right? And I'm going to tell you, like it might be crazy for you to legitimately think like you could own a McDonald's someday, but like you could. Like, what's stopping you from actually doing it? The only thing that's stopping you from doing it is yourself. And I know that's that whole like motivation and fucking cliche stuff, whatever. All right, but where is the list of the top 15? Where is the list of the top 15? Okay, here we go. Home Depot. Home Depot is a great franchise. I didn't even know it was a franchise. Yeah, so look into some franchises. Jack in the Box is also in the top 20. Dunkin' Donuts, UPS store. I met a UPS lady. Not a UPS lady. I met a owner of a local UPS, and she's amazing. It was a really good time just to have. We chatted for like, I don't know, 10 minutes. It was the day that my truck got stolen. Saturday, yeah, my truck got stolen, but whatever. Taco Bell, Chick-fil-A, Del Taco. Is Del Taco really still interested? Anytime Fitness, Zaxby's, Whataburger is a great franchise. Culver's, Wingstop, Wendy's, Hampton Inn, Ace Hardware, McAllister's, and then a couple others. So if you're looking to get into a business opportunity where you could create your own systems, have time freedom at some point in the future, it is going to be a large investment now, a large financial investment now for franchises, right? That's the point. Then you can do that. Or let's say that you don't have a large investment opportunity, like you don't have like a large amount of money to be able to invest. There are some really great marketing companies out there where you could just get started. And the best thing is you have to work to earn your system. You have to work to earn your business. You have to work to earn your own company. Find companies like that as well. There's some really great ones out there. So anyway, I want to get back to our development question of the day. So Charming, how is it that you get to middle class without ever having any money, without having much money, without having much knowledge of finance industry? How is it that you get to at least middle class for your family, for the future, right? There's a couple different, there's one total, there's a lot of different answers, but like there's one that I love so much. And I talked about it a little bit earlier in my intro. So there's something called smart risks. Now, smart risk is kind of almost one of those backwards words, whatever the term is, where it's like, well, risks aren't really smart, right? Well, they can be smart, right? There's some really great ways to find and have smart risks. And so actually, maybe I should go ahead and, let me go ahead and create a, maybe I'll if I need to get into paint, I'll do some painting for you guys. I love paint. But smart risks, right? So you have two different types of smart risks. Let's talk about what a risk is first. So risk is to expose to hazard or danger, or to incur the risk of danger, right? To incur the risk of danger. To incur the risk or danger of, there we go. That's what it is. So how can you have a smart risk, right? To incur smart risk or smart danger. And it's about the first part and it's about the second part. That's where you get, it's in two parts, right? Let's say you have the stock market, right? You have your growth, and then you have the after the growth, right? You have when your money is actually doing stuff for you and when you take it out, right? Let's talk about what's another sort of risk, or let's talk about the process of putting money in a bank, right? You put money in the bank. Let's say you have it in a savings account for 5 years, right? It still grows a little bit, but then eventually you use it, right? It's very low risk because it's not going to go up or down or anything like that. And then you can guarantee that you're going to be able to use that money at a specific point in your life. You're going to, if I put in $50 a month right now for 12 months for 5 years, that's, math. $50, 600 times 5 is $3,000. In 5 years, you're going to have $3,000 to be able to pull out and use that. That. It's not really a risk. That's just a smart move, right? So smart risks are where for sure, and you're willing to bet everything that you've invested that you're going to be able to use whatever or have a higher return on it later on, right? And it's almost guaranteed. So to give an example of what a smart risk might be, what do I have here? Smart risk might be, let's say, student loans. Student loans are great to kind of start off with as a smart risk. And I know this is a little bit weird. So the two sides of a smart risk of the student loan piece is you take out student loans to get an education. And then the other side is you have the education and now you get a really good job to pay those student loans back off. Make sense? right? So you go ahead and start college. You start taking out these student loans. That way you can learn everything. You're studying, you're getting really good grades. You're really developing as a person. You're going to find how can student loans be a smart risk if you're paying for the rest of your life? We're going to talk about that. So you're going over and over. You're getting better and better and better. You're getting smarter and smarter. You do your internships, and you've read a lot of books, and you know that by the time you finish college, you're going to be able to find a decent job, right? Let's say that you're like, you know what? I'm going to be able to find a good $80,000 a year job. Awesome. So you go do that. Now you pay off some of your student loans, right? You're paying on your student loans for the next 30 years, right? But you know that you're going to find a good job, right? Unless you don't. Like, you need to find a good paying job. Like, the investment that you're putting in now, taking out those student loans, or spending all that time and all that stuff, needs to pay out for you to get a really good job. And for the most part, you should find a decent enough job to pay you at least decent enough. But you're betting on yourself. You're not betting on the economy. You're not betting on unemployment. You're not betting on the school, the degree. You're betting on yourself. And betting on yourself is what's going to actually allow you to have what's called that smart risk. Because if I know that I'm going to be able to dedicate my time to make sure that I learn and do everything I need to do so that I can get a good job later on, you're going to be able to pay off those student loans at some point. At some point. It might not be 5 years, but at some point, right? But you're betting on yourself now. When you're 18-year-old saying, hey, for the next 4, 6, 8, 10 years, I'm betting that I will do everything I need to do in school. So that way in the future, I'll be able to get a really good job and pay off these loans that I'm about to take out. All right, cool. So that's what a smart risk is. And I'm going to kind of come back to how you can utilize smart risks to advance and to move from that lower class to that middle class. But I want to switch gears a little bit more. So let's just say, to use that same example of betting on yourself. Let's say you want to take out a mortgage, or you want to buy a home, right? The two pieces. You buy a home, you take out this loan, you pay for 30 years, and then the other side, at the end of it, you have a house that's likely worth much more in value. Likely worth a lot more in value by that point in time, especially if you kept up with it and all the rest of that kind of good stuff, right? But you're betting on yourself. Once again, you're betting that every single month for 30 years, you're going to pay exactly what you need to pay, nothing more or nothing less. So that way, after 30 years of you being disciplined, taking care of the house, taking care of those house payments, you're going to own that property. You're going to own that home, which is a really smart risk when you think about it. Yeah, that takes like 30 years, right? Versus the fast track of like student loans, right? To hopefully get the return on investment, right? But either way, you're betting on yourself. And when you can bet on yourself, that's something that you control, right? And so because you can control it, at least what you're betting on, you can make sure that you do whatever it is that you have to do. I mean, imagine like going 30 years each month, making your mortgage payment, right? And then for whatever reason, for 6 months, you can't make your mortgage payment. Everything gets taken away from you. You're risking saying the next 30 years, I'm going to pay everything on time as I need to. And then let's say 28 years in, some crazy thing happens and you stop working, or you don't have yourself set up to where you have an emergency fund, or whatever the case is, whatever it is, you don't actually end up being able to pay for like 6 months of a mortgage. They're taking that house away from you. That sucks. Taking away the house, everything you paid into it, right? But you're betting on yourself that you are going to set yourself up so that never actually happens. Even if you lose your job, you're saying, hey, even with whatever circumstances, I will have set myself up in place to make sure that I pay for this over the next 30 years so I can own it. Same thing with school. No matter what circumstances happen, even if, I have somebody pass away in my family, and I need to go be with them, or whatever the case is, I am saying that I am betting on myself that no matter what, I'm going to be very successful, and I'm going to find a really good job to pay off these student loans. That's what a smart risk is, right? And so Yeah, the downside is it takes forever to pay off student loans, and it also takes forever to pay off your house. If you use certain strategies that are out there, there are ways for you to be able to pay that kind of stuff down, right? Just a quick tip for the student loan piece: if you are out of school, there are some ways that you can be able to utilize the new SAVE plan, SAVE plan, to be able to potentially get down to as low as $0 a month on your student loans. Like that's your actual payment. And then on top of that, you pay on time for the next 20 years. The government will also forgive that money. You might be taxable. And the crazy thing is like the law says you might be like, you might get a tax bill in 20 years if whatever was forgiven. You might. The only thing is like the Department of Education, the government doesn't know like what tax is going to be like at that point, so they can't say. So but make sure you talk to a financial professional about like that before you go into that kind of stuff. If you need assistance with that, definitely reach out to me. There are ways to be able to help you getting some of that relief, right? That's a big thing about paying on debts. Is just that a lot of times people like to go consolidate and things like that. We can get into that a whole different day. Maybe we can get into that for the case study. But the downside is they don't have enough income throughout the month to be able to pay for it. So instead of increasing their cash flow, which is really not as easy, finding ways to decrease the debts that they're paying on might help per month to month. But like debt consolidation doesn't do that kind of stuff. There are other options out there. But anyway, so what does that mean for you? Taking out smart risks, right? Let's say you take out the student loans and you get a really great education, and then you pay off. Like you get a really great education, you find a really good job, you pay off your student loans. Now, remember that McDonald's example where I said like you're 10 years in the gutter when you start the McDonald's, and then you make $150,000 a year, and then after 10 years, you're finally out the gutter, and now everything you make is just profiting you, and that's just going back to your future, your family, whatever the case is. Same thing with that smart risk of a student loan. This is like a fast track way to get to middle class from like lower class, right? You can be broke when you start college. Your family could all be broke. You can take out student loans, go to a really prestigious college, or really learn a lot, get the chance to practice and apply a lot, apply yourself a lot as well. Find a really good paying job, pay off those student loans. Let's say you graduate let's go the high. Let's say you graduate after 10 years, you're 28 years old. Let's round up to 30. And you pay on student loans for 10 years, for the next 10 years. You're now 40 years old. You're out of the hole at that point, especially have a really good financial strategy built up, which again, if you need a really good financial strategy built up, definitely feel free to reach out. I'll definitely be able to, at least be able to, if not me, be able to pair you up with somebody in my network to be able to help you with that kind of stuff. But having that ability to have your student loans paid off by 40 and still have a really good paying job where you also be able to put towards retirement and things like that is going to automatically put you, I mean, the jump from lower income to like middle class is actually pretty low, but it's still a way that you can still get there with just one person, right? There's something that's called transitional person. I mean, transitional character, all right? A transitional character is one person who in a single generation changes the entire course of that lineage, the entire course of your family's last name. You can be dead broke, go to school, you have a really good plan, you actually apply yourself, you're betting on yourself that you're going to do very well and that you're going to find a good job, pay off those student loans, you continue to have a really good job, you can make that income, be able to put money away for your family, for your generations after you, leave a really good amount of inheritance to them, and automatically your family is now in middle class because of that. Now, I'm not saying that that's the only way to get to middle class, but it is a way to use a smart risk, right? And if you're willing to bet on yourself that you're going to make it, that you're going to get to that point of finding a really good job with a really good income and things like that, that's good. Let's talk about how to use a home as a really as a smart risk, but as a way to go from, poor to at least middle class. So let's just say that you decide, when you are 25 years old to actually go ahead and put a down payment on a house, right? You need to, let's say that you've been able to, have decent enough credit, right? Okay credit, not necessarily like the worst, poor, but either way, regardless, if you take out a loan for a home and you bet on yourself that no matter what, you set a good financial plan in place that protects you, that be able to protect your income. You force yourself to know, I'm going to work. You make payments on that house every single month. You do exactly what you have to do. 30 years goes by. You're now 55 years old. If you start when you're 25, you now own this house. Like, you actually own it. And the thing about that is you can pass that home off to anyone, especially if you have it in a trust, right? Nobody, like the probate fees and estate tax and all that kind of stuff doesn't eat your house away. But now, like, you actually have a house, especially if you kept up with it. And so imagine your generation after you that does not, or the following generation that doesn't have to own, take out a loan for a home, because your home is going to be so much value to them as well, or that they keep that home. That's that whole 30-year period that they can use that money for something else, for anything else, to be able to build for the future generation. But that's how you touch. That's how you get in and just touch middle class, right? Many other strategies, many other ways out there, but utilizing smart risk. And if you rewire your brain to think about smart risks that way, you'll be able to get to that middle class. Yeah, it might take 30, 40 years for you to get to that point, but what's 30, 40 years to make sure that your family's set up for the rest of your life, for the rest of their lives, for generations and generations to come, right? These are definitely strategies that the Rockefellers use, where they want to be able to build generational wealth. There's some other really, really like advanced strategies that they use, utilizing, family banks, laser funds, if you will. You can look up family banks or laser funds. They also utilize dynasty trusts as well. But more importantly, with the wealth that they have, and this is a huge reason why, like, other families like the Vanderbilts, they're going broke, but the Rockefellers' wealth keeps going up. It's because they understand the use of smart risks, and they implement that into their strategies, into their generational wealth strategies, right? They're not in middle class anymore, right? Obviously, we all know that. We know that the Rockefellers are they're very, very, very wealthy, right? They probably own like 12% of the world at this point, right? But the thing to understand is that they utilize those basic foundations to continue that wealth, to continue building on that wealth for generations. They're not looking at just what I need to do right now. They're willing to take some of those risks, right? Remember, risks, to incur the risk or danger of, you're going to get something good on the other side, especially if you're understanding and betting on yourself and your ability. All right. The development question of the day: how do you get to middle class utilizing certain types of risks, smart risks to be exact? But yeah, it took me a little bit to learn that, because I think I told you guys in the beginning, like, I hate taking risks. Hated taking risks. Like, you mean to tell me you want me to take out a student loan that's gonna take me forever to pay off, and I might get a good job? Oh man, nah. I didn't want it. I didn't want to take out student loans, right? And then also, that's another reason why I decided. That's not a reason why, but that's a nice benefit of going off to the military. But even so, I still want to go to better schools than what the military was going to even pay for. So I still incurred my student loans, right? Fortunately enough, now I'm in an industry that's going to pay very well, so I'm not really worried about that part at all. Like, I know I'm betting on myself, right? Which you should be able to bet on yourself as well. And then as far as buying a home, I need to stop. I need to stop waiting to go ahead and buy a home, but I need to go ahead and buy a home, so that way, pay it off, in 10, 15 years. Is gonna do me really good justice. There's some individuals on the internet. And this is like the old strategy, right? The old strategy of buying a home is to, put as much money down as you can for the home. So let's say you have a $500,000 home, right? If you put down 8%, that's about $40,000 that you would put down. Let's say you have the ability to put down 10%. You put down $50,000. Now, after that, the goal is how much discretionary income. Discretionary income is the amount of money that you have left over after paying for all your expenses, your debt, all that kind of good stuff. How much discretionary income do you have that you can also apply on top of that mortgage? Right? So let's just say that you have a discretionary income of $1,000. Right? So your mortgage is, let's say your mortgage is $800. You have a discretionary income of $1,000. Now I want to go to mortgage calculator. Here's what I really need to start. Here's what I really need to do before the next podcast. I'm going to create another scene where I can actually show you guys my my screen without away. But I don't want to have to do it. You know what? No, let me just go ahead and do that now. I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. I got time, and it's all right. I love talking about the the old and new ways to buy homes. It's such a really good tool to be able to use, and that a lot of people just don't know about at all. Add. There we go. Okay, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure it out. Close that. I want this. Use new. Why won't you work for me? All right. Right. Now let's see. Yeah. All right. You're going to work for me. I don't know why you think you're not. There we go. There we go. Beautiful. All right. All right. So mortgage calculator. I love bank rate. All right. So you got a 5,000. $50,000. $1,000. So actually, I want to see. So here in this example, we'd be paying it off by 2054. $2054 minus 2040, 14 years. So you knock off 14 years, all right, on this, which is awesome, right? That's pretty cool. Now let's just say that instead of doing that, you're able to put that money away. Instead of putting your extra $1,000 towards your mortgage, you're able to put that money away. Let's just say, what would that look like? All right, this is MoneyChamp. I love MoneyChamp. Let's talk about, all right, current principal, nothing. We put 12,000 can do like actually at home. You can do it for your family. You can do it for your friends. That makes it so much easier to look at and manage your debt. Right? A lot of people heard of debt snowballing. I'm going to explain exactly what it is after I finish putting this stuff in. But a lot of people have never actually seen the strategy built up before, which is have, for your debts. But if you don't know exactly when you're paying it off, what strategy you need to use, I forgot to put in the amount, what strategy you need to use and things like that, then you're not gonna do well. All right. So here's what I want to talk about. So debt snowballing is a way to take your extra like discretionary income and roll it over and put it extra towards your payments. Now there's a lot of websites. I like this website strictly because like it has minimal ads and it's like super easy to use, really convenient. There's a lot of websites that are even more strategic out there with how they roll over your money and utilize your money to split up and stuff like that. There's a lot of also debt specialists and debt counselors out there that also have full programs that sometimes most of the time you have to pay for them. But this is just a really easy, budget-friendly way to be able to figure out your debt piece, right? So for this client, something that I might do is look and see what kind of opportunities do they have, and are they actually paying extra in the right way, right? Are they actually paying extra in the right way? So one thing I want to show you guys is that this client, where did my client go? This client who's paying 75, 140, I actually want to put that in 75, 100. Where is it at? Did I already forget? 75, 140. All right, there we go. So this is what this family is currently paying right now. Like in our little case study, this is what this family is doing. This free resource could tell this family if they are paying these debts off in the best way, right? Because a lot of times people are like, I'm just going to pay extra on this debt. I'm going to pay extra on this debt until this one's paid off, and then pay extra on this one until this one's paid off, and then pay off. And like they just assume that like based on whatever it is that they're doing, that that's the best route. And not to say that that's not always, but yeah. So total debt payoff budget. So they're paying 140 plus 75, and I don't like to do quick math in my head because I don't like to be wrong, which is a very $30 is their minimum payments, but we're going to snowball the rest of the amount. And it's going to tell us exactly how much time it's going to take them to pay off their debts. No, 995 months. Oh yeah, well that's because we also, hold on, wait, no. Did it not? Did it not? Yeah, it did. This is right. Okay. Debt snowball, lowest balance first. We also have highest interest first. Two different options, highest interest. Let's say that we snowball and pay off this Capital One credit card first as well. We have that option. Now, again, this is just something that a lot of people just need to use, and it's probably going to say 995 months again. Yeah, still 995 months, which is all right. Now, for this specific client, and this is why I want to bring this up, because this specific client, they have about $400 after they pay their bills to play around with. But the downside is they're probably spending on random stuff, spending on clothes or things like that. So what you could do is say, well, look, you don't have any insurance, you don't have any retirement plans in place, you don't have a mortgage, and your bills paid off. Let's just take this discretionary income and see what it could do for you and your family, right? And so we add this $400 towards this 215, which makes 615. And even if we do that, well, let's even be a little bit more conservative. Let's say we leave them with $500, an extra $100 to spend randomly a month. Just adding $300 of their discretionary income of the $400 that they have extra, right? Like if they budget and figure out a way, right? Obviously work with a financial professional to do these kind of things, but you figure out a way to minimize like your extra spending, so that when you do actually have that $400 left over at the end of the month, put $300 towards a good plan where you put an extra $300 towards your the Capital One credit card. Once they pay that off, they'll take all that extra money, pay towards their Citibank credit card. They do that long enough, they pay that off by March 2028. They put all that money towards their Amex, towards that Amex credit card, and by June 2029, 63 months, they've paid off their debts. They've already paid it all off. Versus if they had only paid the minimum, they'd never be debt free. Or to take 995 using their current strategy, right? And this is a free tool. But like how many people out there actually, one, know about debt snowballing or debt avalanching, debt stacking strategies? Not many people. And because of that, it's keeping them poor. And it's keeping you poor if you are not utilizing these kind of strategies. You can even put your house payment in here. Let's just say mortgage. And let's say their mortgage is $340,000. And their minimum payment for their mortgage is $1,200. And their house is that. Let's say that I want to add all this good stuff up. 75 plus 40 plus $140,000. Percent, 30 years, update. On the mortgage payment would be $824. Nice. But anyway, that's the strategy, right? That's a huge strategy to help out this family right here that are just kind of throwing random money at random debt, right? It'll take them literally forever to pay off their debt this way. You put into a calculator with some of your extra money. You don't even have to use all of it. You put into a calculator to figure out exactly when. That's going to help you out. And now you have, the 75 plus 100 plus 40 plus the 300 plus this extra 100. Right? You have so much more money that you can start putting towards your insurance for your family, towards your retirement, things like that. Especially if you don't have a mortgage. This is a steal, right? So I definitely like to have those kind of case studies because, obviously, this isn't really about business and leadership channel, right? To help out business owners, people who want to develop themselves. But the biggest piece about that is finding these strategies out there that's going to work. I'm going to tell you, rich people are not going to use some random person that's going to charge them $50,000 to build up a debt snowball strategy. They're going to use regular stuff, right? They're going to use the stuff that's out there, the free resources to figure their things out, right? To their advantage. So I definitely want to be able to pull something like that up to kind of help you guys kind of get into your minds about those kind of things. But I want to get into really quickly before we finish off the last big piece of today's topics, because I think it's extremely important to be able to actually figure out how to stop thinking poor, right? Now, this is something that I also pulled up as well, or put on my LinkedIn as well. And I want to be able to show you guys also where we at. There we go. And of course, it's going to be super big because why not? Of course. Where are you at? Let me see you. There we go. Top 3 reasons you're not rich. Top 3 reasons that you're not rich. And I'll tell you, you're not growing and developing, and that's probably the biggest reason why you're not rich, wealthy, or successful. All right. Second thing, you probably just don't like money, or you probably just don't like rich people or the wealthy people, right? That's an actual thing. People actually don't like these people, don't like rich people for one reason or another. That's another reason why you're probably not rich, probably not wealthy or successful, whichever one, whatever it means to you, right? To be successful or rich or wealthy. All right. You might not like successful people. And 3, your brain is wired to think poor. Your brain is just wired as a poor brain. How do we get in and actually rewire that kind of stuff, right? And so I want to talk about that. So one huge thing that I learned while reading T. Harv's Secrets of the Millionaire Mind is just that your income, your success, your value can only grow to the extent that you do. That's it. Right? And so, how often do you feel like you're actually growing? Do you feel can you look back over the last year and say, yeah, I've grown. I'm in a different place mentally, spiritually, emotionally, professionally, whatever. Can you actually look back 1 year ago and say, I've actually grown? And if you can't, your success hasn't developed. You haven't gotten any steps closer to becoming wealthy or rich. And that's what's keeping you poor. It is. And you can't just rely, and this is what I said too on LinkedIn, that I learned in the book. You cannot rely on being in the right place at the right time. There are too many people out there that are just hoping, you know what, maybe someday I'm just going to go buy a scratch it off, make millions and billions of dollars, which is fine. That can actually happen, right? That's in the right time at the right place. But what are you going to do after you have that money? Right? If you don't know, or if you're not developed enough, or you're not the right person, you're not going to even hold on to that money. You're not. If you're not the person that you need to be, so that way you can properly use, invest, save that money, use it for good, use it to put back into those systems we were talking about earlier, right? Invest it into things. If you're not the right person at the right time for the right thing in the right place, you're not going to become successful. You're not going to become wealthy. You can have as much dollars as you want to, but just as quickly as you can get dollars, you can push it back out. You can reject it. And so if you are not constantly developing yourself, so that way the moment that it does happen, right, you're not just going to smack in the face with wealth, right? Like that, we all wish. But if you were to get smacked in the face with wealth, you need to be the right person for it, right? Which just means that like you need to be developing yourself all the time. Like how, like in what ways can you develop yourself? What ways can I develop myself, Charmy? Because like I try and wait for this promotion at work, and I show up every day. I do what I got to do. I help out, the new employees when they come in, and like I do all that good stuff. Like, well, yeah, that's awesome. You're not gonna get wealthy being employed first off by somebody else. It's not gonna happen, right? You're not gonna have enough money to be able to do other things with it, which I want to talk about a little bit later as well in the third step, or the second step, whichever one, I can't remember. But the big thing about it is that if you're not reading and learning, you're not going to become the right person, right? Reading and learning what, Charmy? Well, you can be reading whatever it is. Really, you just need to be developing your mind so that way your brain can open. That way your vision can open. There's too many people out here that have lost their dreams and their visions because of their financial situation. And the crazy thing is they think, well, when I get rich, I'll be able to do these things. You're going to be waiting a long time to buy that really nice car. You're going to be waiting a long time to like donate that money to charity. You're going to wait a long time because you're waiting for the right moment to happen. And that right moment will take literally forever. If it doesn't happen, you need to earn it too, on top of all of that. But even if it does happen, if you're not the right person at that point, let's say you have $500,000 of debt and you get smacked in the face with a $500,000 check, right? Where's that money going to go? Are you going to actually give it to the charity? Are you actually going to buy a car? Are you going to put it towards your debt? If your pockets are not the right pockets in the right time and right place, you're not wealthy. You're not going to be wealthy or successful. You're going to remain poor. It's the same thing with you. If you are not filled up enough and taken care of enough and learned enough, and your vision isn't stretched enough, like if you like if your vision is to have $1 million by the time you're 65 to retire, I want you to understand what $1 million does, right? $1 million. Let's say that there's a rule of 4%. All right. And that means whatever amount of money you start retirement with, you take 4% of that, you'll never run out of money. 4% of $1 million is $40,000. It means you can take out $40,000 a year in retirement. Now, let's talk about inflation. Let's talk about inflation. Is that $40,000 any good for retirement? No, it's not. So you need to want more. Right? 3 times as much would be $120,000. I mean, like, you need $3 million. All right, right. So, but if your vision is only stretched so far as, you know what, I'm a million dollar kind of retirement person, that's as much as you're going to be able to hold. And that's it. Right? So developing and stretching your vision, right? Reading books, having mentors, literally like always just trying to find ways to be able to better yourself and improve on yourself. So that way you're actually developing, your vision gets stretched. So that way in your mind, $1 million to start retirement is nothing, right? $3 million to start retirement is nothing. Maybe 8. Let's go $8 million to start retirement, right? Because you stretch your vision. Now you're going to be able to actually accept when you get smacked in the face, right? By $8 million. But no, in reality, you start to see, I'm not just trying to work to get $1 million. So if you work to get $1 million, yeah, you can. It might take you 35, 45 years to save $1 million if you have a decent income, right? It might take you 35, 45 years. And if you have even less income, right, it might take you your entire life. It might take you longer than your life, right? And When I say longer than your life, I mean like actually save the money, pass that money down to the next generation. They continue saving, then they might get to $1 million, right? But either way, if that's as far as your thinking is, that's as far as you're going to be able to grow. That's your cap. You already capped yourself. So figuring out ways to increase your identity, open up and stretch your vision is going to allow you to be able to take much more money in, to be able to take in much more value. It's ultimately going to force you to put out the work into the universe, so that way you actually work harder to get that money. Because if you're thinking, I'm not going to be able to save up $1 million to retire by the time I'm 65. Well, whatever. I'm just going to keep my job at McDonald's. No, that's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to get you anywhere, right? But if you're thinking, I need to be able to save up enough money for $8 million, you know what you're going to do? You're going to go find a career. You're going to go find a job. You're going to go do $8 million work. You're going to go do that. And you already know, I'm not going to do that work at McDonald's. So you're going to better yourself and improve yourself and up your identity, so that way you're not just going to get some little job that's going to not allow you to save substantially for retirement. That's one of the things that's keeping you poor. The fact that you're not growing, you're not developing yourself, you're not stretching your visions, and you're not increasing your identity. I don't know if I'm talking to somebody. I don't know if I'm talking to somebody. That's why you're staying poor. That's why you're not successful and rich and doing all the things that you want to do. It's because you don't want to grow. And a lot of times people, they're afraid of it. They're afraid of doing that work that's going to make them $8 million before they retire. They're afraid of it. What kind of work does that take? Does that take, Charming? It takes a whole lot of discipline. There's a whole lot of discipline. A whole lot of imbalance too. Too many people nowadays that they want balance. And I'm going to talk about balance too when I talk about your thinking. Actually, no, let's go ahead and talk about that now. You're programmed not to think rich. You're programmed to think poorly. Well, no, you're programmed to think poor. I don't want to say poorly. I know think poorly is proper grammar, but in that case, when I say thinking poorly, that just means that your thinking itself is just like ill. It's just like not well. I'm literally meaning like the filter that you have on life is poor. Oh man, come on, Charming. The filter that you have on life is poor. I'm gonna cover up my face a little bit, because I know I'm hitting a few people. The filter, the way you see life is poor. You see life like a poor person would. You see life like somebody who's unsuccessful would see life. Right? You hear things and automatically it filters through to the other side of your ear, goes straight out the other side, and all you heard was $5 million. Yep, I can never get $5 million. Like, how many of you, when I said $8 million to start retirement, already filtered that straight out? If you did, you have a poor mind. You're programmed to think poor. Right? And I'm not the kind of person that sits here and says like, oh, you, like I said in the beginning, you can do it. You got it. Anybody can make $8 million. No. I already said it. In order to do that, you got to do $8 million work that is going to be worth $8 million for the next until you're 65 or until you retire or whatever the case is. You got to do that work. You're going to have to. There's no other option. You need to be disciplined. There's no other option. But too many of you are not wanting to be disciplined. Too many of you don't want to elevate your thinking and increase your identity, because that means you're going to have to do that work, right? So I want to talk about like how you got programmed to think poor, right? So I said this on LinkedIn, and if you're not following me on LinkedIn, feel very free. I love getting a chance to be able to share my information knowledge over there. I haven't been doing it for too long, but I'm doing it now. So, but how many times have you heard, do you have McDonald's money? McDonald's. Or money doesn't grow on trees. Maybe you got to the point where you were like, where you have money in the bank and somebody asks you for like a couple dollars and you're like, oh, I don't have any money. Or like all the time, not to say like you're a bad person for lying, but like you've heard those kind of things growing up, you've done those kind of things as you grew up, and that's just because strictly of what you're around. And I'm not to say that your parents are like at fault for it, but there are environmental factors, right? There's what's called there's three different ways that your brain is programmed to think poor. All right. The first is verbal programming. The second is parental modeling, and the third are your specific experiences. All right. And don't worry, I'm going to get into like some of the stuff, but the easiest is verbal programming. Verbal programming. You hear it all the time. Money doesn't grow on trees. We don't have enough money for this. Money that, money this. Like that's getting you already set in your brain to just think, well, money doesn't grow on trees. Well, it's not easy for me to get money. Right? I gotta do the extremely extraordinary in order to get enough money. Right? Like that's the way your brain starts to think. Right? Retirement, like stop working. How am I gonna make money when I stop working? Right? Your brain is wired like that verbal programming is wired to tell you that you have to work in order to make money. Already at the very beginning, right? I showed you 4 ways to make money. 4 ways to make money. Right? If you're employed, yeah. Because you're trading your time for money. So you have to work. If you're self-employed, yeah. Because you're trading your time for money. So you have to work. But if you have a system, or if you're an investor, you're investing into systems, you're investing into things, then no, you don't have to work to make money. So how do you get to that point, right? I mean, there's so many different ways that your brain is wired to keep you poor that you don't even hear or see or even want to understand that there are other ways that the rich, the wealthy, the successful people are not poor. Many different ways out there. And a lot of times you hear it and you block it out. I mean, that was me. That was me once upon a time where I would hear, and again, remember, we are qualified to help the people we once were, right? I'm qualified to help you because I was once there. I have my retirement plan built out, and looking at my retirement plan, I think it's about, I'll be able to retire taking about $333,000 a year in retirement. If you would have told me even 3 years ago that I would have a dedicated retirement plan that I'm going to be able to take out $333,000 a year in retire, how much money is that I'm going to be able to take out? That's $13 million that I'm going to have, that I'm going to pull out for retirement. If you would have told me 3 years ago that, hey, Charming, pretty soon you're going to set up a retirement plan. And with that, not only are you going to have a really good strategy, like financial strategy in place, but also you're going to take out a total of $13 million in retirement. If you would have told me that, I would have been like, no, that's not even, like, I don't even have the money to do that. I don't even know what to do with that money. Like, I don't even know how I would get to that point of having that much money to retire with in the first place. And so my brain would have thought about those 3 things so quickly that I wouldn't even have the time to realize that I just filtered that out, right? Because my thinking was so poor. Right? Like I was so like, and the sad part is, you know how hard it is to challenge when you're automatically wired to think a certain way? We all know it, right? We all know it. We do those daily affirmations. We stand in the mirror. You are beautiful. You are kind. You are loved. You are lovable. People enjoy you. You enjoy people. The world is not here to hurt you. Like we have all given like ourselves those daily affirmations to remind ourselves and push ourselves, right? And that's because we get aware that our thinking is negative, right? We get aware that the filter of which we see and hear life is negative. We get aware of it. And so I'm trying to help you get aware right now of what it means and what it sounds like and what it looks like to hear, yeah, you can retire with taking out $13 million, $333,000 a year. I'm trying to get you aware that your thinking is poor. Oh man, I'm going to help somebody out today. I don't know who I'm going to help out, but I'm going to help out somebody today to start to challenge that, right? Now, I'm not a therapist by any means. You might say like a financial therapist or leadership therapist, business ownership therapist, whatever. You can say that. But whoo, the second you start to think that, like, if you're truly sitting there thinking, no, that could not be me, you're thinking poor. Start challenging that. And say, well, why could it be me? Just one, flip the thinking, and then two, change the thinking into a question. So let's say, oh no, Charming, yeah, no, I couldn't retire making making over $300,000 a year. Flip it. First step. Well, I could retire making $330,000 a year. Next, ask yourself a question. Well, why can I retire making $330,000 a year? Empowerment, brother and sister, empowerment, right? And now you ask yourself that question. Well, how can I? Why can I? Why am I able to retire making that much money? Well, I mean, yeah, I might not be able to now, but I'm able to because I'm a hard worker, because I'm dedicated, because I'm going to change my family's last name forever and have generational wealth forever. That's why I'm able to, because I have the desire and the passion to, because I'm a hard worker and I'm loyal to anything I start, right? How am I able to? I'm not sure how just yet, but I do know that I can figure it out. I do know that there's somebody that is going to help me out. Oh, but I don't have enough time. You do have enough time. Why do I have enough time? Yeah, it might be a little bit harder because you probably have less time, right, than somebody like me, right? I definitely have less time than like an 18-year-old, right? I was working with an 18-year-old on helping him with his retirement plan. He'll be able to take out $400 and something thousand a year. I was helping a business owner. He's going to be able to retire with taking, $600,000 a year in retirement. And I can promise you that before I could even get them to, like, if I was working with them and immediately showed them and talked to them about that, like, their poor filter would have filtered it automatically, and they would never believe that they're able to. But I had to help them first. Like before anything financially, I have to help you first. Help you develop yourself. Help you change your mind, right? And that's the biggest thing. And that's what a lot of people are missing nowadays, is that your thinking is just poor itself. I'm gonna help somebody out today. So, two reasons so far why you're still poor and why you're not thinking rich, or why you're not thinking successfully, right? You're not developing, right? Your income and your value can only grow to the extent that you do, right? I mean, you can become the number one, like, person in the world for whatever, and if you become the number one, personal development coach in the world, your income is going to reflect, because you've grown so much. Now, let's say that you come number one and you stay right where you are, your income is going to reflect, right? So the second thing is your thinking is just poor, right? You're not programmed to think rich. And the third thing, before I talk about this, I want to give a story. So, there used to be like this town that my aunt lived in, and it was full of Hispanics, Mexicans. I'm not really necessarily sure, but they actually spoke Spanish as well. It's just a nice little strip on the street. And my aunt, though, she always had like a lot of decorations in the house, and she always had a lot of like stuff. Like, she always, like to me, she looked like her life looked wealthy, even though she lived on like one of the poorest streets with like these Hispanics. And so like in my mind, I thought that she was like rich. I just kind of remember that. Um, but the crazy thing about it is that like even though I didn't mind going over to her house, I continued to hang out. Like I was never in her house, or I was never like hanging out with who I thought was rich and wealthy, right? Which was her. I was always outside with the Hispanics and Mexicans, or like playing with the other kids. Like there was a, like, you guys know that it's like a government building where like they have a bunch of supply stuff where like they keep, I don't even know the building right now off the top of my head, but like there was one of those. We used to like do, right, we were kids, we used to play outside and do outside stuff, right? But specifically I would prefer to hang out with the poorer kids than like my aunt and like my cousin, who I felt like had money. And I never thought about it until like I got older, and until I started kind of reading, this book and understanding like my money blueprint and figuring out like what is money associated with? Like how do I associate money to like things and experiences, right? And so with that, brings us all the way forward to now, when I'm trying, or last like 10 years. When I look back and I think about those 5 people that I'm closest to, I think, okay, well, there's this person. Like every time I go home, I always hang out with this person. They might be in the same position, but like I love them so much, and like I give them all my time, and we never really talk about any kind of like development or advancing in life or any of that kind of stuff. We're just super comfortable and content with where we are, and we're poor, and that's fine. And then I have this other friend who, like, whenever I go, travel here, like I have this friend, and we spend all this money that we don't really have, and like we do all this stuff. We have a lot of fun, but like we had a lot of fun, but we're still poor. And like I think about all these people that I hang out with, and a lot of them resemble way back when I had people near me that perceivably I thought were rich and wealthy, but instead I felt more comfortable with hanging out with the other poor kids when I could have been hanging out with the perceived non-poor kids, right? And so because of that, I was kind of programmed to be more comfortable with hanging around the other poor kids that were just like me, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with being poor. It just, the mindset is the mindset of being poor when you want to enhance your mindset and enhance your life is just what's the blockage. But anyway, so it continued to develop over life, and I continued to hang out with the same types of people because I was just comfortable with them, right? Just comfortable. And it wasn't until I realized that all the people that I'm always hanging out with or around are in the same predicament as they always were. And I am as well. Like, yeah, I've done a couple different things, but like, I'm no different. I haven't read a book since I left high school, since I really left middle school, but well, years ago, right? I haven't really done much to develop myself or build on myself, right? My friends are still the same. Like, you could take any of my friends and they would all be just as comfortable with my other friends because we're all comfortable and okay with being poor. Never really trying to develop ourselves, never really pushing ourselves outside of this little box that we're in, right? Have you ever noticed that when you try to upgrade your life in any way, shape, or form, develop yourself in any way, shape, or form, a lot of your friends reject it? Like, they reject you getting better. Like, they reject you. The people that love you reject and don't want you to step out of that box of that comfortableness and develop yourself. That's how you know that your money blueprint, your success blueprint, the thing that backs up everything of why you think the way you do is off. that people you hang around have given you those negative experiences, right? So the last reason why, like, you're probably not rich and successful and wealthy and you're thinking poor is because you don't associate with the wealthy, and or you probably just don't actually truly like money. Like, that's a big deal. Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, feeling that way, feeling comfortable not with, one, my family who I thought was rich, but also two, with the less poor people and hanging out with the poor people, kept me from associating with the rich people. It kept me associated with only those poor individuals, right? How can I get better if I'm only associating with down here? But like, I can't get better. I cannot get wealthy. Once again, remember, I'm not better as I grow. I want to help you as well because I used to be you. And that was one thing that a lot of people didn't understand, kind of as I tried to shift my mind. A lot of people started to say, you think you're better. No, I don't think I'm better. I want to help you out because I know what it takes for me to get there, and I know what it could take for you ultimately, and I want to keep you in my circle, right? And so while I'm trying to associate with successful people or with wealthy people or with rich people, I don't want to feel like I'm better than anybody, because that's going to keep me from associating with the people who I feel like are developed more or where I want to go. It's going to keep me from going there. And so because of that, I might just not like money. I might not like success. I might not like bringing value to other people's life. There are too many people out there that think that rich people are greedy. I'm going to tell you right now, if someone is rich, they are not greedy. You have to actually have values to do it. You actually have to value. The only way to become wealthy and successful is by providing honest and truthful value to people. That is the only way. If you're doing it out of spite, you're going to lose that money, because remember, you're not the right person. You're not the person you need to be at the right time. If you are the wrong person in the right place at the right time, it doesn't matter. You're not going to ultimately be successful and wealthy. Right? If rich people are greedy, they're not rich. And I don't mean like, oh, you have a rich characteristic, you have a rich personality. No. They're not actually rich. They're putting on a front. Right? And if you think that rich people are greedy and you become rich, what's going to happen? You're likely going to become greedy, because you don't actually associate with them. So you don't actually know how they act. You don't actually know what kind of, philanthropic charity stuff that they're doing. You don't know you don't know, because you haven't learned what their rich problems are. You haven't learned what successful problems are. You haven't had the time to associate it with it enough. And if you hate money, when you get money, you're going to put it out. Right? Like if you always get money and you always spend it as well, whether it comes in just as quick or you try and save it and then you spend it on something else or whatever the case is, you're not going to get wealthy. Right? If you don't like money, cool. If you don't like money, it won't come to you. Right? Like if you hate money, the universe will never send you that wealth that you deserve, because you won't accept it. And when it does try and send it to you, you're not going to accept it. You won't even know what to do with it. Right? It's like, for instance, I gave that example of retiring at, with $1 million and what that means and leveling up your identity. Right? If you retire with $1 million, you're going to be able to take out $40,000 a year. Right? It's a similar thing, but it's a similar thing when it comes to having wealth, right? You could think, well, Charming, you say I need to be rich. That's cool. But I'm okay with living comfortably. Like, if I can make just $100,000 a year, I'll be A-okay. I'll be good. I'll be cool. All right, cool. I'm going to tell you right now, you're never going to be successful and wealthy. And if you don't want to be, that's fine. However, why do you need to keep pushing to continue to grow and continue to develop so that you can continue making more and more money, right? Because if you hate money, even if you're comfortable, you're gonna always get rid of that. You're always gonna get rid of that money. You're gonna continue living paycheck to paycheck. But if you love the tool of money, because money is a tool, if you love it and love what it can do and love what you can do with it, because you're also a good person, because you're the right person, right? Because you're the right person, you're gonna realize, well, why do I need to be comfortable when I figured out the pieces of the puzzle? And there are so many other people who have not. Right? Like, once again, you are qualified to help the people that you once were. And so if you figure it out on actually providing on how to like make money and keep money, push that back out. Right? And if your goals is, you know what? I want to be able to donate $10,000 towards mental health. Cool. $10,000. Level up your identity. Stretch your vision. Right? Stretch your vision. Plus, good tax write-offs. Not to say that the wealthy people do it simply for the tax write-off, but it's a good strategy. And it's a strategy that I would put in place for, you know, my higher net worth clients. But also at the same point in time, they're putting it towards good use and good value. Right? Same thing with you. If you can associate with the wealthy and love the tool of money, you're going to sit there and think $10,000 is going to do anything. I need to change the world. And so $10,000 all of a sudden, like of your six-figure income is nowhere near enough. And you need to put in more work to be able to make that much more of an impact. That is why wealthy people become wealthy. Is because they know what they can do with it for the world. They know what they can do with it for generations. Right? They know that it is a tool and they want to do good with it. You do bad with money. I sound like I'm talking to a kid. You do bad with money, you're going to do bad in life. But honestly, one of the best ways to figure this out is to write down all of your negative associations with money and with wealthy people. Maybe, you know, maybe somebody had a really nice Jaguar that came and, I don't know, hit you and broke your leg, right? And they were rich. And now all of a sudden you have this negative association with rich people or with people that drive Jaguars. All right? Now, you'll never be that person that drives a Jaguar. And you never want to be that person that's rich. Because you just have this negative association that they don't know how to drive and they suck. Well, yeah, they do. And so will you if you ever have that money. Right? So, 3 reasons why you're still poor. Your income is only going to grow as much as you do. You don't like money and you don't want to associate with the wealthy people, which means that ultimately you're not going to learn anything about them and how they do anything because you probably don't like them anyway. And then also you're programmed to think poor as well. Man, that was good. That was good. That was a good episode. I definitely enjoyed it. I would love to hear any of your feedback in the comments down below, especially if you're watching this video back later on as a VOD. Like I said, I will put all of my resources down in the description of the video. Also, if you made it all the way to the end, hey, stick around. Make sure that you like, subscribe if you're not subscribed, because you definitely want to be here every Saturday when we do these. And then also, I have a pre-recorded series coming out. It's going to be financial makeover. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it. Where ultimately, I'm going to get the chance. I know a lot of you guys have seen those like home networks or HGTV or whatever it is, where like they do those like house makeovers. I'm going to do that, except for finances with people. Oh, you want to talk about fun? But all right, guys, it was real and it was fun. Remember, figure out a way. Those 3 tips. 1, figure out a way to start building your own systems, so that way you can stop being employed and self-employed and actually start to build up time freedom for yourself, and then figure out a way to invest back into that system for your own money. 2, this week, I also want you to figure out some really good ways to start taking more ownership in your business, in yourself, in your life, right? And then the 3rd tip of the week is that you don't have to be alone. Start networking. Find other people who do what you do, who share the same passions, hobbies, things as you do, who have share the same mindset as well, right? And then also figure out some ways to utilize some smart risks. But it was awesome. I am excited for this journey to be able to help you guys with, to be able to mentor you guys. I'm also excited to hear a lot of you guys' feedback in the comments below, as well as providing any kind of insight too. So you guys have an amazing evening, and I shall see you next week. Bye, guys.
Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?